The number one trick to stop being lazy. So, what is laziness? Laziness comes down to these things. Really, laziness is excuses. So, there's a work that you have to do, or there's something that is upcoming, and you start to feel paralyzed, and you start thinking too much, and you start creating all of these excuses for yourself. You see something, and you start to tell yourself, this is too hard for me. Yeah, this is too hard. I don't want to do it, or this is gonna take too long, or this thing is not fun. I just want to do fun stuff, or I'm not good enough. Let's give this guy this task because he's much better than me. But the thing is, these work and all these tasks that you're supposed to do, they're supposed to be hard because work is work in the end. Everyone sucks at first. There's no one that is just born and is good at everything. If it was easy, then it wouldn't be considered work. It would just be considered something that's fun and everyone would do it. Because with work, you get rewarded. If you go to a job, you go to your 9 to 5 job and you actually do all the tasks that the company asks of you, then you get a salary at the end of the month or every 2 weeks. If you have a lot of homework and you have to study in school, then if you actually do the work, then you will get better grades, and hence you could also get into good universities, for example. If you go to the gym and you're consistent with it and you actually accept the pain of working out, because when you work out your muscles get sore, you kind of get hurt, not in a bad way, but it hurts. Your muscles get sore. So the reward for that is actually building muscles and actually being fit. Because if you look around you, I doubt everyone is fit because not everyone accepts the work of being fit because everyone's lazy. So why do we delay it then? If we know that these work are good for us, we actually get reward in the end. Why do we delay it? What's the number one reason we delay these tasks and we're so lazy? It all comes down to fear. Laziness is actually fear because you just start thinking all of these bad thoughts or things that you tell yourself that you're not good enough or things are just too hard. Um, you tell yourself these bunch of excuses that really in the end are just fear of you not being good enough. You tell yourself that you'll try to get better first and try to do these things or that thing first until you actually tackle your task that you're supposed to. But in the end, if you think this way, most of the time you actually don't do your work. Sometimes you tell yourself that people will laugh at me. Why should I do this? Because other people will look at me weirdly, and people will laugh at me. People will judge me. On a side note, I mean, in the end, no one really cares about you. Everyone just cares about themselves. We have such a short life. No one really pays so much attention to others. If they see something weird, like something actually weird, let's say someone does something super weird in public on like a public road, they're probably gonna be like, yeah, this is weird, and then the next minute they'll completely forget. And the worst thing about these fears, or these excuses, the worst one is telling yourself that you will fail. I'm not gonna do this thing because I will fail, so I'm not even gonna try. And this is the worst one because you won't even try to do the work. And by fearing too much or by thinking too much, these just like we get bombarded in our head, and we just get paralyzed by these thoughts, and we can't actually move. We can't even move forward because we're just constantly thinking, and we're wasting all of our resources on thinking why I shouldn't do this work, or why should I delay it, or why should I do it maybe next day or next week or in a year. And by thinking, we're actually using a lot of resource, which we could use those resources into actually doing the work. So fear fear is actually laziness. So your fear transforms itself into laziness. So the picture over here that we're seeing is you before, what you are right now, and in the middle there's the leap of faith where you have to make the jump and what we want to be. And if we accept our fears, then we cannot make the leap of faith. We cannot make the jump, and we cannot progress. We cannot become the better version of ourselves. So we have to eliminate those fears and actually make the jump. So how do you make the jump? What's the solution? Because we've been talking about what is laziness and what is fears and all that, but what is the solution? And the solution is pretty simple. It's to just stop thinking. Just stop thinking. Just do and stop thinking. First of all, most of the fears are untrue, if not all, unless you let these fears overwhelm you. If you let them overwhelm you, then you're gonna prove yourself that you're right. You were a failure because you actually didn't do the work. So you just prove yourself that you're a failure because you didn't do the work, and that is by itself a failure. But if you don't do that and you just act like a robot. So what do robots do? They just work. They just hear commands and they work. They don't fear, they don't feel anything, and they just work. And that's why everyone wants robots in their house to do all their work, all their tasks, because they never complain, they never fear anything, they never feel anything. They would just do the work for everyone. So by acting like a robot and just not feeling anything or not fearing and not telling yourself that, oh, this and that, or why should I do this, or maybe I'm not good at this or good enough, you just work, you'll feel progress. And by actually working, actually seeing your work progressing, and actually seeing that things are coming through, you will feel more proud of yourself, more happy, and you will get rewarded in the process. If you work for a client and they pay you, you'll get happy because you just got paid. If you studied for your exam and you get a good grade, you'll get happy because you got a good grade. And in the end, you get less and less fear, and you'll feel more happy and proud of yourself. And the crazy thing about this whole thing about not thinking too much and not being paralyzed by fear is that your work will actually be done. And that is what you want in the end, actually do the work that you were avoiding all along. So by not thinking, by doing the work, you will finish the work, and all this pressure of having like this work on you will be gone. Because if you don't follow this advice of not thinking and working like a robot, and you keep avoiding and you keep being lazy about your work, then it's gonna happen exactly like this cycle. So anxiety, fear, if we start on the top over here, anxiety, fear, it'll lead to avoidance, which is laziness, and then you'll feel a short-term relief. You're like, oh, cool, I'm not doing any work, I could just relax. But that relaxation is kind of fake, because this will transform itself into long-term anxiety growth or long-term fear, because the work that you're avoiding now is now on top of you. You'll feel it. You'll feel all the pressure, and this will transform back into fear, and this again and again and again and again, and into laziness, into short-term relief, and back into fear, until you break the chain, until you actually stop thinking about all these people that would judge you, because people don't care about you. Stop thinking about, I'm not good enough. No one is good at anything when they first start. You have to build skills. So if you break that chain and actually do the work, then you'll finish the work and actually be a lot happy with yourself. And like a popular character said, you just have to fight. Just fight and move ahead, because there's no other solution. You just have to stop thinking and do what you have to do. Because if you just think too much, then it might just come in, then it just might come into a time where you cannot fight anymore, you cannot do the work anymore, and you'll feel regret, and that would be the ultimate failure. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.